Save it for your final rotations. It's not necessarily a bad pick that has many bad matchups, other than a lot of assassins. So consider taking away the LeBlanc. But then if we just look at some of Fox's champion pool, assassins aren't really his go-to style of mid lanes.
Yeah, not this time around. Malzahar will be removed from the equation as it is banned, which means you and I cannot forget about talking about it for first pick.
Nice.
And Vitality and Schalke got one ban left. Elise possibility, Rise banned.
I like the respect given to Fox. Perhaps they're not used to the new Rise yet. I know I certainly wasn't earlier on, but it's something that a lot of teams, rather than try and figure out a strategy to deal with it, they will just ban it away. We've seen it against the Alawi, we've seen it against Talia, where new picks and new strategies, because teams don't have enough time to prepare, will just take it away and say, no, not anymore.
But what does it mean is left open? Gnar and Elise were the two other champions that Vitality had banned earlier today.
Karma?
Karma's up and available?
But she has been available throughout this series so far. She did see some prioritization.
Yeah, Lucian Karma from Schalke game 1.
Trundle was the big pickup for Vitality in every single one of their games. They usually picked it up in their first rotations. When they were blue side, they went for the first pick. When they were red side, they put it in their first half of the rotation. So Vitality seems to put a lot of value on it. The question is, are they going to look to do the same again? Because remember, Steve's Gnar is available this time around.
I mean, that has to be the discussion. Vitality are down to 20 seconds on the clock. And no movement just yet in terms of what they're looking for. A single game to decide the outcome of 7th place. And even though Gragas is locked in, this is also a flex pick. It is something that Vitality have run top lane in the past, twice in fact, as well as obviously Shook in the jungle.
You could even go a little bit crazy and put it in support. I've seen it work.
We're not that crazy now. We're not that crazy,
It's not completely out of the meta. I have seen it a couple times. But there's always that option. It's unlikely, but there's always the possibility. Right now, it seems to make sense that Gilius picking up the Elise, unlikely going to do it on this rotation, but when you look at the junglers that are available, it feels like Elise is something that very much fits his style and would do very well into the Gragas early on. For Steve, he could look to get himself an early Trundle himself, and question whether or not Cabo can play the Gnar.
I mean, look, Cabo, 4 games, 2 wins, 2 losses, so like, it's one of those things that I think every top lane in EU can play.
Yeah.
You can argue to what level, etc. But for Schalke, Alistar, Vladimir. So the Alistar denial to KaSing, I like. I really like KaSing earlier today on his Alistar. He had multiple pulverizers that were very impactful. But the blind Vlad, pending these next few rotations, could open up a TF for Vitality.
I would argue actually that the Castellan becomes more prioritized now, because Castellan doesn't quite have the same global pressure that Twisted Fate has, but his ability to roam is very powerful. Castellan is also a go-to pick into Vladimir. He naturally outscales the Vladimir. Laning phase can be a little bit rough, but he actually trades relatively well with the Vlad. So it's a pretty safe pick. He can hold on to it because of how early the Vladimir was picked up. And I mean, remember that this Castellan was banned away from Vitality in their first game. He didn't decide to pick it up in game 2 because he went for the Vladimir himself. But now we may very well see why Nukeduck has earned himself a Castellan ban.
Fiora and Trundle locked in. So we're starting to see pieces of the picture now. Cabochard, Fiora up top, KaSing, Trundle down bottom. And we're expecting Shook to run that Gragas in the jungle.
It's hilarious how all 3 of those champions could go top lane.
Yes, exactly.
But they won't be. It is very likely, as you called it, Fiora top, Gragas in the jungle. Elise should come out here from Schalke. They can save their top laner for the very final rotation.
Why would you do that, though, if you know the opposition and not save? I mean, is there anything else worth saving?
Because the top laner offers a bunch of different things in terms of utility and the actual matchup. So I feel it would make more sense to save it for your last pick so you can see what else is picked into the composition, because you don't know what mid is going to be in the game yet. And remember that if it is a Cassidy and they lock in the Gnar, then how is the Gnar going to manage with that Cassidy?
Well, we're going to find out, because that's exactly what they've done. The Gnar and the Lucian locked in for Schalke, leaving jungle to last pick here for Gilius. We know the Elise is available and most likely the pick. I mean, Gilius also, if he feels like he has to prove something, if he feels like he has to carry, he might lean back to Lee Sin.
That would be a mistake in my opinion. I feel like when Schalke has the most success, we said there's something about Schalke very early on into the split. They do the best when Gilius doesn't try too hard to try and make things happen. If he just plays with his team and just does standard play, do normal things that you're supposed to do, rather than look for opportunities, you typically have more success. And so hopefully he just sticks to something more standard.
Jhin and Twisted Fate locked in. It's more of that playmaking pick power. Lucian locked in.
Oh my god.
I think I win this pick and
You
ban.
win.
Baby. I think I win this pick and ban.
Well played. I think he's wrong. If they're going off of your pick and ban strategy.
Yep. You cannot undervalue player opinion, player mindset, and player comfort, regardless of the game elements, which are debatable, like so debatable. And obviously lean in a particular direction. If players are comfortable on TF and they've had success, if players are comfortable in Lee Sin and feel they can open their backpack and guarantee a trip to spring 2017, that's where they're going to go, and that explains the Lee Sin.
I don't agree with it. I think the safer pick would have been the Elise. You offer way more reliable CC early game. You will be able to control vision well. You can exert a lot of pressure. There are plenty of lanes for you to set up ganks on, especially with an Alistar on your team. And the Twisted Fate, I don't think there's a real problem with it. I just think the KaSing would have been better.
Would have been better. Shawns and Nif shake hands for the last time for Schalke and Vitality. Potentially for the last time in the next 6 months. One of these teams goes to the promotion tournament. One of these teams goes to the spring split as the 7th seeded squad.
The battle for vacation. Quick shot.
That's it. Who gets more of it? Who knows they're comfortable and can watch promo tournament from the comfort of their own home next week? And who will be coming back to sit on this very stage, or the other one, there's two of them, to play? That is the question.
The only bright side I feel right now for being in this position is even if you are in the promotion tournament, you get a choice of either Roccat or Millennium. Neither of which look like the strongest teams.
Not a choice, you play the winner.
You play the winner, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true, that's true.
Yeah.
But
the only reason I had to clarify, you used to be able to pick teams in the past.
You're correct, you are correct, you are correct.
Yeah, that's correct. The winner of this game is safe.
Is safe, yeah. That's
the
safe.
loser of this game, I got it in the end. Yeah. The loser of Schalke Vitality, they will play either Roccat or Millennium. We're just waiting for the players to get into the lobby. As we've mentioned many times today, we had some technical issues yesterday. We have a workaround, and the workaround just involves some reconnects as soon as the game is loaded. And I can't imagine what it must feel like for the players right now. We saw the broken faces of Origin a few minutes ago. Focused across the board. Even KaSing, who is traditionally the happy, smiley sort of cheerleader for the squad. Stern focus.
I feel like right now, this is just another game to them. They're not thinking too much about the outcome, and they're thinking more about, we've already beaten Schalke. We can beat them again. And the same likely goes to the side of Schalke. Their focus right now should not be on the outcome, but more on what they can do in the team comp that they're in, with the players that they're with, in order to guarantee themselves success. It is one more game. This is the final in this series, and this will determine who gets that safety spot.
So much. A little bit of luck, ladies and gentlemen. We are loading up into game. You guys were 100% correct earlier when we asked whether it was hashtag VIT win or hashtag S04 win. For the last time on EU LCS 2 for me and Vedius. I'd like you guys to submit your votes. I'd like you guys to put your hands together here in the audience for who you think will come out victorious, if it's Vitality win or if it's Schalke win. You'll eventually load up into the Rift as Vitality take on Schalke to the cheers of Steve.
I could find no other way to enter Game 3. If I'm being honest, quick shot. I feel like it would be a letdown if there was any other setup.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more of that. Steve on his Gnar, once more, has played that champion a number of times this split. I think 12 or 13 games.
So the possibility of a lane swap, relatively high, it seems. Schalke want to try and avoid the 2 versus 2. Trundle, not typically that aggressive during the laning phase. However, when you put him up against an Alistar that can't really go all in that often, and typically how well Trundle does into melee matchups, does make sense that Schalke are just going to try and avoid it for the time being, but also to try and shut down Cabochard on this Fiora, who obviously, we've said it a lot today, the Black Cleaver, Ravenous Hydra combo makes a phenomenal duelist that perhaps Vladimir will be able to deal with, but it largely depends on how the early game goes.
MrRallez and Sprattel are going to go for an early invade into Vitality's jungle, just to put some vision down. Sprattel's going to find Cabo and Shook. The Merc Wolf's not really under any threat. KaSing gets a little chomped down. He actually stole away one of those wolves, I believe. Yep, got himself a CS to his name. Sprattel unable to replicate. So we're going to be in for the lane swap. And I think I prefer the Lucian Alistar combo in terms of putting pressure on that tower as opposed to the Jhin Trundle. But until some additional top laners get in there, I don't think it'll make a huge difference.
I don't think there's any real difference. The big thing for Lucian is he can use his abilities to clear the wave, but at the same time, Jhin can do that. He throws down his W, throws down the Q. He'll clear the wave in a very similar fashion to how Lucian would. And here we have the lane swap cam as we keep our eyes on the mid lane. Now, Twisted Fate into Vladimir. Typically early levels, Fox will have the push advantage because he is Vladimir. He can abuse that Crimson Rush. It's very difficult for Nukeduck to trade back, and his wildcards really won't be doing that much damage.
No, not just yet. The thing is, Nukeduck's not picked the Twisted Fate for the Vladimir.
No,
he's picked the Twisted Fate to help out Cabochard, to jump in and give police some kills. And I think the combo, by the way, of a gold card into a follow-up route from the Deadly Flourish into the Curtain Call, I mean, that's going to be a dead anyone.
Well, perhaps not a Vladimir, because the moment he sees the gold card come in, pool, I'm out. One of the obnoxious things that Twisted Fate will have to deal with, because even though he does have that gold card, very unlikely that he's going to prioritize setting up ganks in the mid lane. Notice that he has gone for Ignite. Very much playing around the Vladimir, looking to apply those grievous wounds and significantly cut his sustain during these fights.
Yeah, managed to actually maybe take him down in the later game team fights. Once we eventually get there, phase 2 of the lane swap will be kicking off shortly. AD carries are going to be meeting the top laners. No real missteps here, no real advantages gained yet. The first dragon is an Ocean Drake, so that's nothing really to get too excited about. And the only reason I say that, it's just in terms of priority. Cheeky. Tempo advantage Schalke.
Unlucky. However, Cabo does have the teleport available, so likely that once the minion wave hits the tower, he's just going to TP in. Steve, as you rightly said, though, with the tempo advantage, will already start moving towards the lane. Oh no, he's just going to TP as well, so no real advantage gained either side.
Yeah, nothing
just
gained or lost.
Sprattel being a cow.
Yeah. Double entendre, I like it. Fox and Nukeduck, even on CS, although Nukeduck still got some consumables to play with. Fox rightly Sanguine pulls away from the gold card. And now we see whether or not Schalke decide to peel back for the dragon. Do they consider the Ocean Drake worthwhile?
It largely depends on how much of an advantage tempo-wise they get, because if they can already transition their bottom lane to the Drake, then with their jungler moving down, before Vitality are able to shove the minion wave, take the tower, and put it underneath that tier 2, then they can look to get it. But because the swap was pretty even, they're just going to go for a gank mid instead.
Flash away, Sonic Wave connects, easy kill! And that's why Gilius picked Lee Sin.
Well, the Twisted Fate was overextended in mid.
It would have worked with these two.
In fact, it probably would have been easier with the Elise, because you wouldn't have had to use your flash.
I was just trying to find a high horse.
However, that horse can continue to be high, because that was a good gank from Gilius. That's what you need to be doing on Lee Sin. Especially ganking a lane that has no utility in it. Always impressive to see.
Yeah, doubly so when Nukeduck tries to flash away. So they get the kill, they get the summoner spell, and there's the possibility for a, re-gank in the next few minutes. Schalke got themselves a 1,000 gold lead. They opted not to go for the Ocean Drake. And obviously because of the way the lanes have worked out, MrRallez has got a very good CS advantage. Plus 16. He's also opted into the Goro build. Got himself 4 blades for Goro's 4 arms, in case you didn't know that one. Just trying to help you out there.
Wait, Goro, is that...
Mortal Kombat. You don't know Goro?
When
Wow,
you said,
are you that young?
Whoa, no, I know Mortal Kombat, but when you said Goro, my first thought was actually The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and I went to the Gorons.
No, Goro, 4-armed guy.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
He's a hefty badger.
He is a hefty badger. I don't know where I'm going. Schalke now sieging down this middle lane. No real support here for Nukeduck and no flash. Look at the respect that Nukeduck is giving Schalke. Do not want to run the risk of falling further behind. For Schalke, this kind of feels like their only option though, because look, both top and bottom lane, Schalke can't risk overextending.
Yeah, you have to remember that what Schalke did to set this play up in the mid lane was that Steve already had the push going in the bottom lane. Cabo doesn't have Tiamat, so he doesn't have the same sort of wave clear as now. KaSing getting caught out.
And flashed away. Paying the respects, but Schalke, they get themselves a tower.
Yeah,
they extend that lead even more.
This was just smart from Schalke because they had MrRallez and Sprattel already in the top lane pushing that one out. Police and KaSing had to go deal with it. Cabo had to go deal with it in the bottom half of the map, and that meant that there was no support available for the mid lane.
All right, for anybody that is still with us that was watching at the beginning of the day, first of all, thank you. Second of all, game 1 between Vitality and Schalke started in nearly exactly the same fashion. All right, it started with Schalke getting an early advantage, playing the lanes, they got a tower lead, they got a gold lead, but it wasn't substantial. And Vitality bounced back with their Twisted Fate combo.
Hecarim.
Twisted Fate Hecarim to find picks, find kills, and then they took control of the game through team fighting around Dragon.
The big difference is they had Ashe in that game though as well. And Ashe was a big facilitator in enabling Vitality to make these plays.
To
and
be
with the
fair,
Jhin,
it's similar, just not as good. The Deadly Flourish, the range isn't quite global, but it has some CC.
But you have to rely on someone else landing that first initial hit. You can't have the same sort of impact where in game 1, Schalke just commit 3 members to the top half of the map. Well, that's easy. Vitality can instantly collapse on that because they have global engages, and now Cabo forced to flash from a level 7 Gilius.
Already advantage over Shook. Cabo still on access to the Grand Challenge. And so far, Gilius is showing that he's comfortable on this Lee Sin. Showing that even without his flash, the ward hopping will get somebody else's flash. But he needs to keep this level of control up. Schalke, they're approaching the first 10 minutes of gameplay. The banjo of CS between top and bottom lane is started. And I feel until either a team commits for Dragon or Nukeduck on this Twisted Fate makes a play, we're going to have this passive farming because there's too much on the line to take a big risk.
That is definitely true. And I think that we're not really going to see any action until the item spikes kick in because TF going for the Roa. Shook yet to complete his jungle item. But it looks like Vitality potentially going for a play top. Not going to be able to find anything. But I do just want to bring one thing up. Quick shot. Why is it a banjo?
Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, that's...
Are you talking about an accordion?
Yeah, why did I call it... Why do you tell me now? I've said that for like 3 games.
Because I've only just noticed it, and I'm like, in what way is the lane swap like a banjo?
No, it's not at all. It is an accordion. Accordion's the word I was looking for.
So back and forth was the sentiment.
Back and forth, correct.
Yes,
correct.
Yes. I would have gone with the trumpet, personally.
Yeah. I prefer banjo because you have to push it in one
Banjo
direction.
again?
Oh, man. Accordion. I prefer accordion. It's
Are
been
you
a
a
long
musician?
day.
Quick shot.
Evidently not. Evidently not. Crepo schools me regularly in terms of my lack of genre-defining knowledge.
See, but I have very little genre-defining knowledge. However, what I do possess is a lot of musical theory understanding.
Ah, good for you. Would you like a cookie? Because I do not. I cannot help you with that fact.
I would actually love a cookie right now.
Yeah, we'll have to wait. Once this game is over, we can have some food, have a light snack, drink a coffee. That's my plan. And my instinct for how this next few minutes is going to play out is that because the game is so high risk, we often see these games build for 15, 20 minutes of tension, and one decision, one team fight, one objective, then defines who wins the game. Because when you don't trade frequently and often, whichever team picks up an objective later in the game can secure more with that objective.
Yep. I feel that sentiment should be echoed because a lot is on the line. I talked earlier about how the teams likely aren't feeling the pressure, but perhaps consciously they're not, but they still feel it. They don't want to take any risks. They don't want to make any game, high risk, high reward plays because of what it could mean for their team. And I mean, what player wants to be the guy that sends your team to relegation or guarantees you that spot?
Yeah, nobody. But everybody wants to be the guy that makes the play that secures your position's next split.
Oh yeah.
MrRallez a little bit out of position. Good flash. As the gold card was flung. Maybe shouldn't have been there in the first place. And that's going to open up an opportunity for Nukeduck in the future. If he gets the chance. Before we get there though, Shook is looking to start a fight. He bounces Steve backwards and Steve hops away. That's a two-man knockup for Sprattel, and the bowling ball is sent flying. Police goes out thanks to the Dragon's Rage. Curtain call flying out. The battle's on two fronts. Attack! Not going to be enough to kill Schalke just yet. Vitality chasing down Steve. Steve gets a good knock, but here comes Fox. Emo Blade is out. The fight continues to break out. Cabo's down. Shook follows shortly, and Fox is looking for more. Schalke get 2 more kills.
Vitality just don't have the lockdown to get the picks that they want. They had the numbers advantage, but it just wasn't enough to guarantee them any kills at all. The fact that Police couldn't land the W due to a good jump from Steve, followed up by the just severe lack of damage coming out from Vitality, resulted in a clean and easy teamfight win for Schalke the moment that Fox joined the fray.
And remember, it was a last rotation Jhin. Ashe was available if they wanted to. Ashe Arrow maybe. Wider hitbox, longer range,
but look at this.
Lower risk.
The re-engage from Sprattel, fantastic. Good kick from Gilius to allow Schalke to reposition. They split up here. Good body block from Sprattel, and then you can just see the Vladimir coming in from the flank. Vitality overcommit, thinking they can get the kill onto Steve, and they just don't expect this big, beefy Vladimir to come in and deal all the damage that cleans up the fight for Schalke.
The prophecy of Schalke, formerly Elements, placing 7th in the EU LCS. If they close this game out, it'll be the 4th consecutive split in a row.
They are the European Liquid.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Now, Shook coming in from the flank. Here comes the Destiny.
All right, Steve is going to be in trouble. Gold card comes out. Support's coming from Gilius. Dragon's Rage is up. And Gilius is like, sorry, bro. Do not want. And Cabo picks up the kill.
So this is all we need to see more of from Vitality. Using the global of Twisted Fate to set up picks. The lineup of Schalke doesn't even need to be that overextended to actually set up the stun from Nukeduck. It's going to be harder onto Fox, who is just sitting in the side lane. Proto Belt completed first, but we'll have to see if they can continue this global pressure.
Taking a look at the itemization here, Fox, first item Proto Belt. We saw Spirit Visage, I think, earlier
Typically,
today.
Yeah.
And I think that's the standard.
Yep.
What do you make of Proto Belt first? What does it tell you about not only the build, but also what Fox is expecting to do?
I think he cares more about his fashion sense, but also it enables him to get involved in these fights just a little bit more, because bear in mind, Nukeduck and Police not actually that mobile, and when you have Gilius diving into the backline along with an Alistar, you just want to be able to follow that up. So the Proto Belt just helps you close the gap a little bit more, and adds to your burst, of course.
I quite like that. The backline as well, getting to Police as the game plays out. Schalke have got the 4,000 gold lead. I mean, it is actually gigantic. As our observers are just going to show, I mean, Steve isn't even that overextended. He just doesn't have the vision to be that deep.
Nothing you can really do against the Destiny from Nukeduck, especially when you're a Gnar without flash. They knew that they'd burned it earlier on, so they were just punishing it. It's good play. You get a kill down onto your Fiora. Definitely someone that needs it, but I mean, speaking of Cabochard, we have to think back to this series, and can you think of a play where Cabo has really made a big impact for his team? Because we've given this guy so much praise as being this carry top laner, and in all honesty, I feel like he doesn't earn that title anymore.
Historically, yep. There's a question that I like to talk about at some point, where you go, how long does current standings, current performance need to run before the old legends die down? And as an example of that, Gambit. were a struggling team for longer than they were a successful team. Yet we still had the storyline, they were once great. At what point do you change the storyline? You know, at what point does that narrative move over? And a split of woes for Cabo maybe is where the question starts to come in. And it's one I don't have an answer for you right now. It's one of those that you have to debate and discuss. And, you know, everybody's going to have a different opinion. Everyone's gonna be like, well, you always have to remember the positive, not the negative, or, you know.
I feel like I'm the type of person to always try and highlight the positive. You know, I try to look at the best in what players bring, and it's not that Cabo is, well, I mean, I say not playing bad, but he overextended a huge amount of game one, gave away many kills, and it's just, he's just not the Cabo that I was expecting.
Yeah.
You know, with a guy that was so famed for being so powerful, one of the best European top laners.
Yep.
To now a 7th, potentially 8th place team that really, even with a kill, I feel like he's not even a threat right now for Vitality.
If this game plays out the way the current status is, Vitality will be the 8th place team. Vitality will go from making quarterfinals in Spring Split to promotion tournament in summer. And Schalke will maintain the original prophecy.
But look at the bright side. If he does fall into 8th place and he has to play in the promotion tournament, he'll have a lot of time now between the promotion tournament and the future to learn the accordion. An art that I feel that all pro players should look to pick up.
All top laners definitely should learn to play the accordion. Of course, this is an insult that VIT just thrown my way because I called the farming trade back and forth the banjo, which is not fair. It is the accordion. And as expected and somewhat predicted, the slower pace of the game is, again, because of how open the map is, how much farm there is to pick up, and also how little Vitality want to make more mistakes.
Yep.
Vitality cannot afford to throw a Fiora Twisted Fate into Schalke's team comp unless they are 110% certain they will pick up the kills and they will claw back this gold deficit that they find themselves in.
Well, the Infernal Drake is next on the list. And I can't imagine Vitality want to give that one away to Schalke for free. Right now, Schalke sitting at about a 3,000 gold lead. The Abyssal as well as the Proto Belt is done now for Fox. He is strong. That is a Vladimir that very few people on the lineup of Vitality will be able to duel. Cabo yet to finish up that Black Cleaver. You can see Police likely working towards the Dusk Blade of Drakthar. But until they have those, it is very risky to force a fight. So they have to make a decision. Do they try and rush the Infernal Drake, or do they just try and contest Schalke 4 and hope that they can outplay? I
mean, in Vitality's point of view, the more they can stall, the better. You know, at some point, Cabo's Fiora becomes ridiculous. Like, that is a given. The question is, how far away are we from that point? And the only people that can answer that question will be Vitality and Schalke. In terms of what more can Schalke organize, can they secure for themselves? Baron is available in 15 seconds.
Fortunate creature, they're just over there. Should we go ask?
I mean, no, it's pretty inappropriate.
All right, okay, that's
there is
fair.
this thing called competitive integrity.
Of course,
We're not going to pause the game to interview the players mid-game.
Hey guys, we just got a quick question.
Yeah.
Come the 20-minute mark, what are you...
We have this question about, how are you feeling? Did you know you're about to go to promotion tournament?
Stunned on the Sprattel.
Followed by the Roots and Unbreakable Will. It's thrown down. Sprattel is able to break that CC. But there was the combo we touched on. Deadly Flourish from Police. The problem is it doesn't result in anything further.
Nope. You get the ultimate from Sprattel though. Dragon still away, so they're not going to really be able to take advantage of that, but they can push up their vision line.
How long until Infernal? I feel like it's a couple of minutes. Should be around 20.
So it's about, it should be about 23-ish. 2.5 to 3.5 minutes from now. And that should be enough time for Nukeduck to finish his Jhin. We'll have to wait and see.
And of course,
sorry, the Lich Bane as well.
The upgrade for the Jhin. Gilius got a little bit out. Body Slam connects. Barrel not going to be used, but the Destiny will. Here comes Nukeduck. No Hourglass, remember. Gilius is knocked into the team, and Sprattel sent flying. Vitality get a kill, but they need more.
Police, he missed a lot of those shots, but he did get the last one, and that's what matters. They're able to get the kill done onto Gilius, who was playing a little bit aggressively in Vitality's jungle. He was just trying to steal away the camps. He felt like he had the support to do it, but the collapse from Vitality was enough to net themselves a kill. Now, they're going to get themselves this tier 1 in the mid. They're in a good position to move towards the Dragon and set up vision. A minute and a half. Gilius will be back up, but he will not have his flash, which could be a big determining factor in whether or not Schalke can get on top of Police.
Yeah, very important, that kickback from Gilius. As those fights break out, nobody from Vitality actually committed to warding up the Dragon area. Instead, very defensive vision. I also think the line of wards that's just timing out now in the red buff area of Schalke has been good for Vitality. Ghost from Fox forces the flash from Cabo. There is the Proto Belt. Cabo's going to be able to riposte at least something. Chemo play comes out. Explosive Cask is a few seconds away. Fox has already been able to pick up a kill, but now 2 members come up. Steve Gnar's KaSing and shook backwards. The root comes out from the Deadly Flourish, and in a 2v3, Fox has got enough damage to almost kill Shook. Flash forward, gold card into Steve. Pulverized from Sprattel. He gets the knock-up. The knock-back disengages onto Schalke, and Vitality are running for their lives.
They have to keep running, though, because Gilius is still hanging around the flank, looking for a potential kill. But I think that Schalke can just be happy with what they've been able to achieve. There is no minion wave, so they won't be able to get any turrets, but an Infernal Dragon should be on their priority list.
They're going to make their way backwards. The Infernal Dragon potentially being added here to 2 Oceans. Destiny being used by Nukeduck. Teleport into the mid lane from Cabo. Schalke invested a lot of abilities into that previous team fight, so they opt out of the Infernal this time round. And Vitality, they fancy their chances. They sniff the area out, but they haven't committed just yet. Now they're starting it.
Smart decision from Vitality. They knew Ultimate was down for Sprattel, MrRallez, Fox, and Steve. The only thing that was a threat to them was Gilius, and the fact that Vitality were quickly able to collapse down on this Infernal Drake means that they can pick this one up even after losing a team fight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've heard that EU LCS 1 has just joined us for a quick look in. In case you didn't get the brief, because of tied points, tied series wins, and a tied head-to-head, Schalke and Vitality are in a tiebreaker. The winner of this game secures 7th and is safe until spring next year, and it's Schalke in a great lead. And of course, the loser drops down to the promotion tournament, where they will play either Roccat or Millennium in the second round. I do have to say, I'm disappointed Schalke didn't get the Infernal Drake. Because do you know what you call 2 Oceans and an Infernal?
No.
It's the sauna buff.
Oh.
Yeah, see.
I've had a debate when we were making up all these names.
I've had a debate with people about whether it should be 2 clouds and fire. I'm like, no, because you put the water on the heat, the coals, and that's what gives you the mist. So I'm quite adamant that
we can agree that 3 Infernals is a hot mixtape, I'm fine with that.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that. MLXG from the LPL is the nickname that means spicy hot pot.
Ah.
So if you're in the LPL region, I think 3 Infernals by MLXG, I think you could give it to him. It's the hot pot buff. Regardless, Schalke were forced away from the Dragon thanks to the teleport and the Destiny, but it now means that Cabo does not have teleport where Steve does. So that's going to open up options and opportunities for Schalke to extend this lead further.
But remember that the Destiny is available for Nukeduck, and he has now completed his Lich Bane and the Rod of Ages. Rod is going to get interrupted a little bit by a pillar. And what you're starting to see is Fox come online in this side lane. Level 14 Vladimir completed the Zhonya's Hourglass. 15 just been hit. Highest level in the game right now. This Vlad is looking very terrifying, but Cabo, he's doing the same on the other side of the map.
I mean, Black Cleaver completed as well as the Ravenous. So, you know, Fiora is fully online. And we've questioned how well can Fox control him or handle him. We've not seen that yet. But you have to wonder who else will go toe-to-toe. There's a little bit of a setup here. Gilius actually kind of cost Vitality in game 1 of the day many, many hours ago. And this time around, he's not going to run too far forward, running risks. Well, Fox is just going to steal away the blue buff. And Baron has to be the name of the game. With no Dragon for a little while, and vision around Baron. There's the teleport. Steve is in Mega Gnar. He's looking for a target. Flash is available, but Vitality, they've already pieced out. Wild cards into Deadly Flourish. That's how you can stop that one down. And now Schalke, they've used their TP for no gain.
The flash was used by KaSing. but that's not the worst summoner spell to lose. The biggest concern right now is that KaSing is on pretty low mana. Gilius just had his Banshee's Veil popped.
Hashtag what?
Nukeduck, but I mean, it is a tense game right now, QuickShot, because so much on the line, both teams looking for opportunities, and Steve, without the Mega Gnar, without the TP, are in a good position for Vitality to try and force something.
Yeah, that 3,000 gold lead becomes less and less significant the longer this game goes, for obvious reasons. Vitality starting to hit their 2 item spikes across the board. Shook is going to be the target. Gilius is ward hop forward, but he's rooted down. The play hasn't worked out. Gilius is all the way back at the inhibitor turret. The rest of Schalke looking to kill the tower. Steve is unable to connect the Gnar as Cabo is looking to chase forward. He's already killed Gilius. A grand challenge is issued. Fox went all the way deep. Cabo's got the double kill. Police is the only victim for Vitality, and Schalke's siege is interrupted. Destiny's available. Gold cards is going to connect MrRallez. And the wild cards slow him down. Nukeduck's got enough mana for the Destiny. Here comes Cabo from behind. A stun onto Sprattel. Destiny sends Nukeduck forward. 2 more Schalke members are down, and Vitality peel for Baron.
This was everything that Vitality needed to gain control over this game. With the Baron in their favor, they can look to finally gain the gold lead, gain control over the map, and Cabo, I questioned him early on, but he is definitely turning on right now.
4-2-0, fully activated and enabled on the Project Fiora skin. Vitality even out the goal difference and now have the Baron buff to take the lead.
Gilius tried so hard to force that play. In game 1 of the day, he was make or break, and he is doing it once more. This Lee Sin was such a big risk. And here, it does not end up paying off. Yes, they get the kill eventually down to Police, but it cost Schalke so much. The follow-up play with the teleport coming in from the flank, you can see on your mini-map right now, there was nothing that Schalke could do to get out of this situation.
A while ago, Vedius, you said you did not want to be the guy that makes the play that costs the game. And I retorted with, but you want to be the guy that makes the play that wins the game. And Gilius tried. He tried to kick back Shook. He started that whole thing off looking for the insect play. And like a house of cards coming down, Schalke lose control of the game, lose control of the tiebreaker.
The important thing to note is that if you just look at the goal difference, at 29 minutes in, it is minimal. What Vitality have successfully done is close the gap. So now both teams are on much more even footing. This victory does not mean that Vitality have suddenly won the game, because there is still so much of the map that they do not control. The Ocean Drake is next up. Vitality feel a lot more confident in trying to contest it, but Cabo has no TP. He's sitting in a side lane. I wonder what Vitality are going to prioritize.
Well, the question right now is towers. Destiny going up. Cabo and Nukeduck will be taking down this tower very, very quickly. Lichbane, Hourglass, and a fully stacked Roa. The rest of Vitality on the mid in a turret. Remember, they've got Baron-empowered minions helping them out. 2 towers for a dragon. I think that's a worthwhile trade if you're a Vitality supporter.
The control that we were talking about, definitely in favor of Vitality after going for those 2 big objectives.
They're not done yet. Another inhibitor turret is the target. As Vitality have earned themselves a 3,000 gold lead, and they're going to start pushing up these waves of minions under the tower. There is a potential engage from Shook. The explosive cast can separate Schalke's support and send someone into the waiting hands of Vitality.
And look at Cabochard. He's returning to the top lane. Schalke see this as an opportunity to posture up aggressively. They know that there is a Baron up team knocking on the doors of their base, and they're just desperately trying to hold on.
Deadman's Plate for Shook. Duskblade of Drakthar for Police. There's a lot of items being picked up for Vitality. Their team comp is fully activated, and there's vision in the jungles. I think Vitality have pushed some wards up fairly well. Got to be a little careful though, because there is still a couple of wards in sneaky spots behind Vitality. So there's possibilities for Steve and the rest of Schalke to you look for an opportunity. Whether or not it'll be presented is another discussion.
The person that you need to keep your eyes on is Fox, as a Destiny gets used top lane.
All right, Steve's going to be able to hop away to safety. Nukeduck with that Lich Bane and Cabo should be able to take down the tower, a lunge away defensively. He's going to break open the base. Gilius looking for more. Police is the target, but Shook gets the kick. Police is going to be able to run away. Now Shook's running for his life. Flash is available. Explosive cast will slow down Schalke. The rest of Vitality are in the base. Mega Gnar for Steve. I think the Destiny was used, but that was just for vision. Inhibitor's taken down. Baron has worn off, and Vitality, they've now got supers on their side.
Schalke tried to force a play in the bottom half of the map. They felt like they could catch out Shook, Police, and KaSing, who are committing a little bit too hard for that inhibitor turret. And that just means that Nukeduck, with his ultimate, with the teleport from Cabo, is enough to secure themselves an inhibitor. And now Vitality have so many options to take the rest of Schalke's base.
3 flashes and an explosive cask and a pillar from Vitality allowed them to escape. And Schalke now have to play the stalling game. We've gone past the 30-minute mark. Schalke have got super minions to deal with. They've got 3 Ocean Drakes. So even if they get their hands on Elder, it's not super useful right now. Obviously, it means they'll always be fully health for a team fight.
Yep.
But that's just it. Vitality gonna play this one out safely, play this one smartly, and they're utilizing Cabo's Fiora very well.
Oh yeah, level 17, 4-2-0. 3 items, well, 3.5 items finished for this Fiora. And we can just see how the shift in gold has affected Schalke so much.
Just like game 1, I'd be willing to bet if you put the gold graph side by side, it would look very, very similar. And for Vitality, they came back in the mid to late game, very early in the day, with some strong team fights, with some strong objective play. This time round, it's through map play. They're playing the side lanes, they're utilizing Fiora and Twisted Fates to create opportunities.
And a Gilius dive that went horribly wrong.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, I hate to echo it, but we said it at the very start. I was not a fan of the Lee Sin pick. High risk, high reward. Yes, you can make great plays, but you can also kill yourself. And that one play in mid stumbled into a Baron, and now the Destiny being popped. I think Nukeduck just looking for a bit of vision.
Yeah. Going mid lane, repositioning as Cabo shoving down bottom. And Vedius, you said it the best. High risk, high reward. If that play had worked,
it could have been the Baron for Schalke.
It could have been the game. It could have been an inhibitor. Who knows? But that's the thing. If hindsight is 2020, and unfortunately Gilius didn't make it work. It's 2 team fights in a row that he's looked for the Dragon's Rage onto Shook, and that's not the man you want to, especially not when he's got GA. Rest of Vitality, look, they're still trying to siege. They've bought enough time for the super minions to get inside the base of Schalke. MrRallez is dealing with that. Baron's up in 30, Elder's up in a minute. So I expect Vitality to go backwards.
Yeah.
Spend their money and then set up for actually both objectives.
And this is where Schalke can find room to come back into the game. Because if there's one thing that Lee Sin is very good at, it is stealing away Barons. He has so much mobility, he has so many options, where I think back to many, many seasons ago, where I remember the first time we saw from a Millennium player, can't remember his name, but he went in with the Lee Sin, he kicked out the jungler, smited the Baron, got out again. I think it was Cotnex.
I was going to say Cotnex was my first...
And ever since I saw that play, I was like, that was amazing.
That's going years back.
Yeah, but it's the options that Lee Sin has when playing around these Barons, and it's always something you have to be careful of. So Vitality, it is risky to set up for the Baron, but I agree with you, it's the next best play. It's something that they have to commit to, otherwise they won't be able to close out this game.
Look at the Vitality vision in the top quadrant of the jungle. I mean, it is littered with wards. There are still supers pushing towards the inhibitor as well. That's got about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes left before the inhib respawns. And even more importantly, Nukeduck has the reveal everyone button. So once Vitality start Baron, they can make sure it's safe and they can give themselves more information to work with by the use of the Destiny.
Look at this, multiple members going up to Cabo. This is the go sign for the Baron for Vitality.
It absolutely is. Cabo just needs to buy time. Protobelt forward into the teleport away. Cabochard gets tagged with the Hemo Blade. Not going to be enough to kill him. The Repulse manages to at least keep him alive, as well as the shield. Here comes Gilius, needs to be a hero play. Sonic Wave is blocked by KaSing. The barrel sends him flying, and Vitality secure a flawless Baron.
That was such good execution from Vitality. Cabochard drew 2 members to the bottom half of the map. MrRallez and Fox could not look to contest that Baron. Gilius was kept away from the pit. The use of Shook's ult to then tell the rest of his team, burst it, burst it, burst it. And they instantly take away the Baron from Schalke's hands. Now Vitality can rotate this round to the Elder Dragon. And ladies and gentlemen, it is looking like Vitality are gonna be our 7th place team.
And it's even bigger than that. It looks like they'll be returning in spring 2017, breaking the curse of 7th place for Elements now Schalke. Elder Dragon picked up to go along with the Baron. Additional stats from that Infernal. Damage over time for Vitality. I gotta take a look at the towers on the inhibitor. Mid inhibitor untouched, bottom inhibitor down to about 10-15% HP. And Vitality used their side lane pressure so effectively just a few minutes ago. I expect them to do exactly the same. Take a few inhibitors, patiently wait for supers, and then look to punish and take out the Nexus.
1-3-1 is the name of the game right now for Vitality. Teleport unavailable for Cabo, but he doesn't need it because you cannot beat this guy in a 1 versus 1. Nukeduck can sit in the top lane, and with the Elder Dragon, with the Lich Bane, that's more than enough to take down this inhibitor. And look, they even have to send 2 members to deal with it. Here comes Gilius.
He's looking for police. He tried to ward hop once again. Forced to run away. Sprattel's in trouble. Unbreakable will buy some time. And police is able to throw down the curtain call. Not going to be enough for the kill, I don't believe. Tower in the bottom lane is taken out. Police has not had the greatest curtain calls. And Fox is now going to go down. Pillar goes out. Hourglass buys time. And the wild cards secure the kill for Nukeduck. Taking down his opposite number with a pick that we even debated in picks and bans. Shook, explosive cask unavailable. And Cabo's now pushing the middle lane.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Vitality, they have everything that they need. Fox is dead. That is 1 inhibitor gone. Vitality. Ooh, Steve, he's not going to put up a fight though.
40-second death time as Cabo's in a little bit of trouble. Gnar's available. Steve's now run out of numbers. Gilius and Sprattel coming in, but it's Steve that's rooted. Cabo took a lot of damage taking the tower down. A 2-man Gnar buys some time for Steve to wallop and crunch his way to safety. But the base does not have the same escape route. Inhibitor number 2 falls. Vitality peel down to the bottom. Elder Dragon still up. Baron still up. And there's very little standing in the way of a Schalke defeat.
Looks like Gilius does have enough HP. He's going on to Cabo, who has no mana. They're just trying to deter Vitality. They might even go for an engage.
Yeah, KaSing's going to lose his life here, most likely. All 3 inhibitors, a bit of a pipe dream. So this will just buy some time. Steve not done yet. Gnar will trade, but he doesn't have the ulti available. This should pop the GA for Shook. And Vitality unable to secure the 3rd objective.
Fox was dead, Vitality. You took down 2 inhibitors, you overcommit for the 3rd, and that was just a bit of a misplay coming out from Vitality.
Vitality have won a game against G2 in the past by holding the door, by preventing the Nexus going down.
And Schalke have lost the game that way too.
And now Schalke may find themselves in the same position again. Here's a replay of the overextension. Or rather, that's not the right word. Overcommitting.
Overcommitment.
That's a better
It's largely
phrase.
because you have no mana. I just look at the mana pools of every single member. There's no way they can continue the pressure, especially with Fox respawning. But the biggest issue that I had with the way in which Vitality set that up was they committed onto Steve when they just didn't need to. They had the Baron, they had the Elder Drake. Just ignore Steve. He doesn't have his ult. Just prioritize on taking these inhibitors and getting more control over the game. If you take down all 3 inhibitors, you then just have to walk into the enemy base, wait for the minions to end the game for you, and you just act as pest control, preventing Schalke from being able to stop you from ending the game.
Talking about pest control, we're getting to that mid to late game point where Schalke need to figure out how they handle all these minions. I mean, Fox is about to Flame Horizon Nukeduck, but it doesn't matter. 372 CS to 275. The team is just too far behind for Vladimir to make matters worse. Destiny used by Nukeduck, getting some information. And look, the pressure is on the inhibitor.
Remember that we're getting to a point where this gold difference starts to mean less and less. A lot of big items have been completed. Death cap is done for Fox. One overstep, one misplay could result in Vitality all of a sudden losing control as Gilius looking for the hero play.
Gilius is looking for it. Ward hops away. Gold card into the deadly flourish. Gilius is down. Sprattel's got the unbreakable will as Fox sends himself into the sanguine pool, walking across a captive audience to go down. It's a double kill for Police, a triple kill. He's looking for more, but Cabo gets the fourth of the fight, and Schalke are aced. The base is done, the supers are walking in, and Vitality, they turn their attention to the Nexus turrets. They turn their attention to the Nexus, and with one last auto attack, Vitality secure a spot in Spring